Doing? Is it on? Is we started? Oh, boom, we going. All right. How y'all doing? Welcome back to Verses and Vibes with just Bash right now because Thinker's going to go get coffee. But it will be Verses and Vibes with Thinker and Bash. We are back. Always good to have y'all here. I can't see the comments because I'm not on my computer. I'm just on my phone. So I hope all y'all are having a good Sunday. I think we are like Genesis 43 or something like that. I want to first almost thank y'all for hanging out with us. I don't even know how many episodes we in, probably like 20 episodes in now. And we crossed the thousand subscriber mark, which I'm definitely appreciative for. I just want to just take some time to show my appreciation for that. Let me see, where were we? I think we're in 41 or 42, somewhere around there. I did a whole bunch of Bible reading this week, which is crazy because I was so busy, but somehow I still read more Bible than I thought I would. That's not what I wanted to do. This is 40. No, it's all around. No. Quit doing that. All right. Let's see. No. I think we might be at 41 then. Okay. So when she pops back up, she went to go make some coffee. We're gonna get right into it, man. Again, I hope everybody's doing well because this should be that we just got through Joseph interpreting that dream. So we about to move. Oh, and yeah, he just told him about what was gonna go on with the sheep and shit. So we must be at 42. We must be at 42. Keep in mind when we're reading these, this whole book, Bereshit or the Genesis, it's kind of like the etiology of like why things are the way they are in the world. Why does Israel look this way? Why do they communicate like this? What's the story behind why these tribes get along and why these tribes don't? That's just kind of catching up. So all this stuff that we've been reading, I was talking to somebody last night about this, and I was saying like, especially when you're reading Genesis, don't think of Genesis as like reading anything that actually happened. Think of it as trying to make sense of what's currently happening, right? Well, not currently right now, but like when they were writing it, like they were trying to make sense of like, why is it this way? Okay, here's a backstory, blah, 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 blah. Not that backstory actually happened, right? And I feel like you get a much better understanding of things when you do it that way. Anyway, you're back. How you doing, darling?
I'm doing good. And that makes sense because I have so many questions about why Simeon, why Benjamin, right? So that makes a lot of sense. I want to say what's up to the nurse and the Fitchins in the house. Welcome back.
Yeah,
Bash, your concert is sold out.
sold out. Sold out.
I was going to get a ticket
Hey,
to
they
come down,
just,
but I heard
they
you're doing another
don't
show.
don't say it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's a scripture in the Bible that says, "Weeping may endure for a night." You get what I'm saying? But joy cometh in the morning. You get what I'm saying? So
Okay, okay.
just just stay tuned. Just stay tuned. You know.
Okay. Awesome,
Um,
awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
I saw the news this morning,
yeah.
and I
Those
was
tickets
like,
went
"Hey,
fast, man.
yes,
They went really fast. I have been having the time of my life.
that's a good sign."
Yeah, it's great, man. It's been really
Amazing.
fun. It's been really fun. Thank
Yeah,
y'all for all the support.
definitely. I was playing the whole album this morning. Like I ran through the whole album probably 2 or 3 times, and then when my grandson woke up, he came in the room and Howdy was on.
Yeah.
Like I wear Howdy out. I'm just gonna say that now. But Howdy was on and he started bouncing up and down like he was on the footstool of my chair, bouncing up
Love that.
and
Love that. Love that.
down. Yeah, I love it. Oh
Yeah.
shit. They like, wait, how did she plan the album?
Don't
My
answer.
bad. My
Don't
bad.
answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my bad.
None
But
of
yeah. Yeah, so let's get into Genesis 42 today. And
Yep.
we may be able to get to Genesis 43.
Yep.
We say that every every week. And it never happens because we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to
Let's
say,
try. Let's try. But you never want to rush to it. You want to get as much out of a chapter as you can, because
yeah.
especially in Genesis, because like there's such little small building blocks that again you're gonna see later on, and you're gonna remember. Oh, we talked about this in Genesis. That happens so often. Like how like when you talk to believers, I bet you money if you had to like stack up the conversations that you had over the last year or so, like 60% of them involve Genesis chapter 1,
Yeah.
right? Or Genesis chapter 2, right?
Mhm. Or
But
or three.
say again, or
Or
three,
three.
or
Yeah.
three, yeah, somewhere between 1 and 3, right? Sometimes you get to six. You know what I'm saying? But it starts to get blurry after about eight. You know, it's like after the flood, people kind of forget what happened. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like people don't really know Genesis 18 or Genesis
Yeah.
39, right? But these chapters are really important to what you'll see later on, right? These are little stories that kind of help you understand. Okay, well, why are they doing that? Why did they think that? Where did they get that from? And this is a backstory for it, right?
Okay.
So that's why these chapters are so you have to kind of just take them a little slow sometimes, but it's a lot of good stuff in it, for fun stuff in it, really.
Yeah, like and I'm learning a lot. So, and I wanted to ask when you first started learning Hebrew and you were reading the Hebrew Bible, did you like find little nuggets and you're like, holy shit?
Oh yeah,
Like,
man. Oh yeah. I'm gonna show you one. Hold on a second. One of my favorite. One of the Hebrew. A lot of this stuff is written in like prose and stuff like that. And sometimes you'll find these little word games. I'll show you one. Jeremiah 1:11. Have you ever seen this one?
mm-mm. No.
Have a look at it. Jeremiah 1:11. Right. And you just read 1:11 and 1:12.
Okay, let's see. Let me share my screen right quick. All right. It says, the word of the Lord came to me saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? And I said, I see a branch of an almond tree. Then the Lord said to me, you have seen well, for I am watching over my word to perform it.
Now, what in the hell does that have to do with each other?
It nothing.
No, it seems as if in English it doesn't have anything to do with each other, right? What
Uh-huh.
does it just say? I see an almond tree. Good, because I'm watching over my word to perform it. That don't even seem like it go together. Now, look at those in Hebrew if you can. Like, oh yeah, you got it. You can do that. Look at the word almond tree.
Let me pull it up. In Hebrew, the scriptures be completely different. Like, so is it still 11 and 12 in Hebrew, or is it
Depends on which version you're looking at, but it should be 11 and 12. It should be.
okay? Now I'm not too good, so you got to show me which one it is.
Just look at the
Uh,
word almond tree. The word is saked or saked. Yeah, the word
See, it's not even there. Jeremiah 11.
1:11. Yeah,
Oh, 1 and 11. Hold on.
Jeremiah 1:11.
Uh, you said it's a kid
Yeah, saked.
right here,
Wait. Yeah, saked.
right there. It's a kid.
Right. Saked. All right.
Uh,
All right. Now go look at the word for hasten
Hasten
in the next verse. In the next verse, I am or you say watching over my word. In the King
right
James it
here.
says the word hasten.
And you want me
Yeah,
to look
and
at it in the Hebrew?
in Hebrew,
What word is it in Hebrew? What is hasten in Hebrew?
saked. So another, well, you probably don't pronounce it the same way, but it's basically the same word, saked.
It's not here.
So,
And it's not here.
hold on. So, you ain't gonna be able to see it on my
Oh, here it
screen.
is. No, there it is. It's Kisa kid right
Yeah,
here.
you see it? Right.
Kaisa
So,
kid. Yeah.
yeah. So it's this little Hebrew word game. Is basically what it is. It's like a play on words like run, and run, or God dog it. I keep hitting that button. I keep doing that. I'm so sorry about that. All right, continue. Oh my God, that's not what I wanted to do.
Where are
I,
you?
I keep
Oh,
hitting the wrong button. I was trying to put my phone back up here, and I keep hitting my what you call it, my turn off button. All right, yeah. So it's this little Hebrew word game, saked. But you wouldn't catch that joke if you read it in English, right? I see an almond tree. Good, because I'll hasten over my word to perform it. Doesn't make sense
mhm.
in English, but I see saked. Oh, good, because saked my word, right? So reading things in Hebrew, you get the kind of okay, I get the joke now, right?
Yeah.
I get the word game, right? And that's just one of them. There's a ton of little things like that.
So
Right.
I recently just learned that heart, where God judges the heart. He sends divine instruction to the heart. Is
Mhm.
really the kidneys.
The kidneys, yeah.
And Job had kidney failure. And
Hmm.
so now, like, my question is, does that mean that Job was found guilty if he sends, he sees that, he judges the kidneys for uh morality, and
That's what he thought
Job
so
was
from.
hit with kidney failure. And so was he found guilty when he basically did curse the God to his face in chapter 10? And he tells the God, like, you glory in oppressing the weak and rising up the wicked, like blessing the wicked. And he's like, you don't know what it's like to be human. You don't care about humans. He everything that we as atheists say, like, the God blesses the, like, his plan is to rise up those that oppress,
Yep.
and he creates humans just to kill them, like humans are expendable to God. Job says this to the God in chapter 10.
Hmm.
And so it's not until after he gets the kidney failure um that he's like cursing this God, right? And then it makes me go back to when the wife said, curse God and die. And Job says in chapter 10, like, leave me alone and just let me die. Like, let
Yep.
me go to the land of chaos. And like, he describes Sheol as a place where light even seems like darkness. Like, Job didn't have this expectation to go to this heavenly place
Right.
after death. And so, like, it just makes me wonder, the story that's being told about Job in this whole kidney thing, if there's a different narrative actually in the Hebrew. And I know I know that a lot of people hold on to the story of Job because it's like, oh, God gonna give you double for your trouble, right? And it's like, don't worry about what you go through. Job did it, you can too. And
Not
I
for
don't know,
Job.
some people may wonder, you know, about whether painting Job as guilty is a bad thing, but honestly, like, it's something to explore, I think.
I mean, yeah. The thing about any of these narratives, there's a difference between how am I trying to say this? The Christian narrative,
In the Hebrew.
the biblical narrative, and the Hebrew narrative. Those can be three completely different things,
Mhm.
right? Because you have to keep in mind, any translation, you're gonna lose some stuff just automatically. Some stuff you're gonna lose based on the translator, right? Because they may have a certain thing that they want you to get out of it, right? That it may not necessarily say in the like the word, like when you read, "I the Lord your God am a jealous God,"
Mhm.
right? Or I the Lord whose name is jealous, right? When he said his name is jealous, he literally said, "My name is Elkanah," right?
Mhm.
Like my name, and it doesn't just mean my name. Like he wasn't saying like my name possesses jealousy. He was saying my name is Elkanah, right? But you'll never hear anybody call God Elkanah, right? Because the translator translated it to be my name is jealous, and they made it lowercase. But the word Elkanah is an uppercase proper noun. Like God was saying, my name is Elkanah,
Mhm.
right? But so
Like a
you
God,
so
like a that, like that's
like
his
that's my
name.
name. Yes,
Yeah.
like my name is Yahweh, or my name is I don't know Jehovah or Adonai or whatever, right? He was saying my name is Elkanah, right? But when somebody a translator might translate to say, "Oh, my name is jealous," but that's not. I mean, that is true. That's true. But that's kind of like me saying if a girl said her name was April, right? She's not saying her name is the month, right? She's saying my actual proper name is April,
Mhm.
right? So he was saying my actual proper name is Elkanah, right? And but a translator translated it that one way. So and and in a
Because of
Christian
the
version,
story that they wanna tell.
right? Because of the narrative that they right, they didn't want to change his name to Elkanah because you don't see that anywhere else, right? Like why would we call him that here? Um, so there's a Christian narrative about that scripture. There's actually what the Bible actually says there in English, and then there's the Hebrew narrative, right? When you read it in Hebrew, completely different thing, right? So yeah, all those things are important. I just say that to say that.
Yeah, I plan on talking about it tonight. I know, I ran it by Dr. B, and he's like, anything that paints Job as guilty, I would stay away from. And I was like, but right. Like that's kind of what the he was like, that's the moral of the story. And I get it, right? Some people see the story as hope, but also I think that there is uh another lesson that could be learned from the story. I think there's a lot of like depending on how you read a story, there's different things that you could learn from it, right? And
Absolutely.
then there are a lot of people specifically in the black community who believe that suffering is their rite of passage and
Mm,
primarily because of the Job narrative, right?
mm,
And I think dissecting the story and looking at it, I just feel like the Hebrew, this, learning that, the kidneys was considered the seed of judgment, right?
mm,
And then tying that to during Job's ordeal, he was given kidney failure. I just feel like it's something that, to explore. Like, is it really
yeah.
wrong? Is it really wrong to be like, hey God, like you wrong, like you doing this to me and I'm not guilty, right? Like a lot of times people are afraid to question things that happen in their life, right? Because they
Jeremiah
think
wasn't scared.
exactly.
Right? Lots of people did that. Like again, the Christian narrative is don't question it. Right? The
Mhm.
biblical narrative doesn't necessarily say that at all.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the point, right? Like people are afraid to they're like, oh, Job went through it, he didn't complain. That's not true.
Right.
He complained like a motherfucker.
Right. As he had every right to.
Exactly. And
Right.
like so I think it sets unrealistic expectations. And to me, it's still tied to the white supremacy trope, like this goal of being this perfect human that you'll never reach,
Yeah.
having these expectations, being told these stories that just aren't true. And so people are trying to reach this goal that they'll never reach because they're not okay with just being themselves, being humans, right? Allowing
Right.
themselves to be flawed, grow through their flaws and work on, fixing them and you know, appreciating even the flaws in
Yeah.
our lives, right? And
Yeah.
so like I just feel like that the Joe story has a lot of deconstruction material in it. Um and I know like you and Dr. B, like y'all are scholars, and I wanted to get y'all's feedback on that as far as touching the Job story.
Yeah.
Um
Listen, I say all the time, I have no sacred cow. There's nothing in the Bible sacred to me. Right? Like if you ever really want to learn it, you just gotta go at it, read it. Right? Like just go at it and read it. And again, the- we will never know. And
mhm,
I mean this as truthfully as I can say this. We will never know the author's or authors' full intent, right? We are several languages removed, several cultures removed.
look who's in the room.
Who that? Hey, Justin, what's up,
Justin.
bud?
What's up, Justin Deconstruction? This is an honor.
I know, right? I know, right? Good to have you in, man. Yeah, we will never know all the author's intents, right?
Yeah.
We try the best that we can to try to ascertain what people meant, right? What they were trying to, but there's for example, 1,000 years from now, let's say I wrote you, let's say I bought you a shirt, a t-shirt or something, and you sent me a text that said, man, that's a dope shirt, right? And somehow 1,000 years from now, someone was able to pull up that text message and they had to ascertain what that sentence meant, right?
Mhm.
They could say, maybe he acquired the shirt through selling drugs. That's a dope shirt. Or maybe she's saying the shirt is dumb. That's a dope shirt. Or maybe she's saying the shirt is drug paraphernalia. That's a dope shirt, right?
Yeah.
How deep into culture would you have to dig before you realize, oh, no, no, it's a compliment, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, with that being said, think about how far we are away from that culture,
Mhm.
right? How deep in the culture would you really have to dig in order for you to really know, okay, this is a euphemism for this, and this is how he was using it at that time. Now, when I said when like in our text messages, I totally understand what you mean when you said it's a dope shirt. I get it in its time and its place, blah 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 blah. Right? But does that mean 1,000 years from now somebody will be able to read that text and automatically really get what you were saying? Maybe not. Right? Well, I mean, maybe now because we keep better records and stuff. But You know, if we transpose those 1,000 years, probably not.
Yeah.
So this, which is why I don't mind reading a thing from 100 different perspectives.
I think that's helpful, but so a
Yeah,
lot of people are afraid to approach that, and I think because of you have the Catholic interpretation.
right.
um you just you don't question the interpretation of those that were given authority to interpret it. I don't know if it's the bishops or the pope. I don't know who gets it, but it's like authoritative, right?
Yeah,
And then you have the scholars, like the Protestants. They look up to the theologians and
right.
what the theologians say and the commentaries.
Sometimes,
Well, yeah.
sometimes, some of them just look to what they spirit say or they
I think
pastor
that's
say.
the ones that's left the church,
Yeah,
right? I don't
yeah,
know, but they all seem to think the same thing about Job. I've not heard any of them say that Job, was found guilty, or um, I've not heard anybody consider it from a different perspective. And it's like Job was perfect in everything that he did. He not once complained. His wife was the enemy,
right.
and and then he got double for his trouble. And like
That's it.
nobody, they don't talk about the fact that in the end, it was his family who came and gave him gifts. You
Yep,
know what I'm saying? And like, I don't know. I do think that asking 1,001 questions about a belief system is the best way to either if you're going to believe it, it's the best way for you to be able to say, I know what the fuck I believe and here's why.
yep,
And if you choose not to believe it, be able to say, here, I don't
here's why
believe
I
that
don't.
shit and here's why.
Yep,
And
yep.
it doesn't matter if the questions are offensive. Like how are you going to get to that if you are afraid to ask offensive questions or have like the really hard conversations? Speaking of which, Genesis 42 has a
My bad.
hell of
Okay,
a lot of anachronisms um in it,
okay.
right? Like the whole concept of using silver as a payment system, that wasn't a thing at that time. You know what I'm
It was
saying?
not. Okay.
Um the like saying that the Egyptians, it was an abomination for the Hebrews to eat with the Egyptians. That is so later Hebrew narrative. Like that
Right.
wasn't a thing in Egypt. Like it's just there's a lot, and I feel like if we don't call this stuff out, right? Yeah, I love studying the anachronisms too, divinely autistic. And like I feel like if we don't call this stuff out, then how can we also deconstruct the system of racism, right?
Right.
Um the system, the patriarchy, the capitalism, because like
Right.
even like what we talked about last week with Joseph's literally setting up capitalism when he took control of the resources in Egypt and redistributed them back to the people and forced them into volunteering to become slaves for life. And it was only the priests that were allowed to, keep their property and
Mm-hmm.
not be slaves. Like to me, that literally saying if this God's plan was to raise Joseph up in Egypt and he's guiding Joseph the whole time, as Joseph says, then that literally means that that was the God's plan, was
Mm-hmm.
slavery and capitalism.
Facts. Yeah. If all those things are true, then that is the conclusion for sure.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. Let's read this chapter.
Okay. All righty. It says, when Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, why do you keep looking at one another? I have heard, he said, that there is grain in Egypt. Go down and buy grain for us there, that we may live and not die. So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain in Egypt. But Jacob did not send Joseph's brothers Benjamin with his brothers, for he feared that harm might come to him. Thus the sons of Israel were among the people who came to buy grain, for the famine had reached the land of Canaan. Now Joseph was governor over the land. It was he who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the ground. When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he treated them like strangers and spoke harshly to them. Where do you come from? He said. They said, from the land of Canaan to buy food. Although Joseph had recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Joseph also remembered the dreams that he had dreamed about them. He said to them, you are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of the land. They said to him, No, my lord, your servants have come to buy food. We are all sons of man. We are honest men. Your servants have never been spies. But he said to them, No, you have come to see the nakedness of the land. They said, We are your servants. I'm sorry, we, your servants, are 12 brothers, the sons of a certain man in the land of Canaan. The youngest, however, is now with our father, and one is no more. But Joseph said to them, It is just as I have said to you, you are spies. Here is how you shall be tested. As Pharaoh lives, you shall not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Let one of you go and bring your brother, while the rest of you remain in prison, in order that your words may be tested, whether there is truth in you, or else as Pharaoh lives, surely you are spies. And he put them all together in prison for 3 days. On the third day, Joseph said to them, Do this, and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here where you are in prison. The rest of you shall go and carry grain for the famine of your households, and bring your youngest brother to me. Thus your words will be verified, and you shall not die. And they agreed to do so. They said to one another, Alas, we are paying the penalty for what we did to our brother. We saw his anguish when he pleaded with us, but we would not listen. This is why this anguish has come upon us. Then Reuben answered them, Did I not tell you not to wrong the boy? Did you? But you would not listen. So now there comes a reckoning for his blood. They did not know that Joseph understood them, since he spoke with them through an interpreter. He turned away from them and wept. Then he returned and spoke to them, and he picked out Simeon and had him bound before their eyes. Joseph then gave orders to fill their bags with grain, to return every man's money to his sack, and to give them provisions for their journey. This was done for them. They loaded their donkeys with their grain and departed. When one of them opened his sack to give his donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his money at the top of the sack. He said to his brothers, My money has been put back. Here it here it is in my sack. At this, they lost heart and turned trembling to one another, saying, What is this that God has done to us? When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them, saying, The man, the Lord of the land, spoke harshly to us and charged us with spying on the land. But we said to him, We are honest men, we are not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is now with our father in the land of Canaan. Then the man, the Lord of the land, said to us, By this I shall know that you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers with me. Take grain for the famine of your households and go your way. Bring your youngest brother to me, and I shall know that you are not spies, but honest men. Then I will release your brother to you, and you may trade in the land. As they were emptying their sacks, there in each one's sack was his bag of money. When they and their father saw their bundles of money, they were dismayed. And their father Jacob said to them, I am the one you have bereaved of children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more, and now you would take Benjamin. All this happened to me. Then Reuben said to his father, You may kill my two sons if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands, and I will bring him back to you. But he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he alone is left. If harm should come to him on the journey that you are to make, you will bring down my gray hairs for sorrow to Sheol.
That's in that chapter,
Mhm.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So this the setup, right? This the setup. Um, and the good part about that is it's pretty straightforward. You're right. There's the anachronism of using silver in a situation like that. Um, but this is pretty much the setup for like the payoff, right? So
Mhm.
setup is, they're going down. Joseph recognizes them. They don't recognize him, which I think is kind of weird, but okay, all right. Um, maybe he got a different haircut or something. I don't know. You got the Egyptian box fade. That happens.
Yeah, like why didn't they recognize him? Like he was 17 when they sold him into slavery, right?
Yeah,
And this is what 20 years later,
yeah.
13, 16 years later, something like that. They don't recognize him already? Like did he have
You might,
a beard or
yeah, you might have grown. You know what I'm saying? You might have,
yeah.
got you got the taper, the pharaoh fade or something. I don't know. You never know.
The Pharaoh fade? Oh my gosh.
You never know. So, but he recognized them, and because they didn't recognize him, you know, he runs this kind of scam on them. Well, not really a scam, but like just kind of some retribution. Um, keeping Simeon in prison.
Yeah,
But
it
was
was a
Simeon?
scam.
Yeah, it was
Like,
kind of scandalous.
yeah, that.
But it was kind of his Richard. It was kind of his get back. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
they did sell the boy into slavery. You get what I'm like, you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like I feel like he was old that one. You know, I don't know. Like he was
But
old that
why
one. He
Simeon? Why did he
that's
choose
what I was
Simeon?
trying. That's exactly what I was about to ask about. Like I don't know how he picked Simeon. I don't know how he picked Simeon.
Yeah, that's a question that I have.
Yeah,
Do
because
y'all
that
hear my grandson crying? Is that loud?
I'm
Can
not
y'all
very
hear?
loud, but it wasn't
Oh,
loud.
okay.
Um, I don't know why Simeon. Like, because there's not a lot about Simeon in the story before it, right? Um, I don't know. I don't know why Simeon. I wonder if anybody knows that. I'm gonna ask around about that. I don't know if anybody.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm gonna look up and see like if there's a, I don't know, if there's a theological concept attached to it because like you were talking about the 12 tribes and was saying like this story kind of answers some questions as to why certain tribes are viewed the way they are or like what happened to
Yeah,
them because like Benjamin is the youngest son of Joseph and Rachel,
right.
right? I mean Jacob and
Jacob
Rachel.
Rachel. Yeah, 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 not Joseph.
So
Yeah.
Benjamin is actually Jacob's brother through Rachel, right?
Wait, huh?
So, so they got the same mother.
Joseph. Yeah, yeah. They got the same mom
Joseph,
and dad.
Joseph and
Joseph
Benjamin
and Benjamin have the same mom
have the
and dad.
same
Yes.
mom. Yeah,
Yes.
and so that would be why Jacob is favoring Benjamin
Benjamin
the same
for
way he
sure.
favored Joseph. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but what doesn't make sense is like later on, the tribe of Benjamin is kind of seen as like the tribe that don't fuck with, like, ew, the tribe of Benjamin. Yeah, don't give our daughters to them.
Yeah.
Like what
Well, they did kind of go crazy though, right? I
what when they in Judges 19, yeah. It doesn't
yeah,
come
they
out.
did.
Yeah. Yeah,
They did get
they
a
were
little
horrible.
wild, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But were
yeah,
they different than, well, yeah, because it wasn't the Israelites in Sodom and Gomorrah
yeah,
that did that. Okay, yeah. So yeah, they were terrible.
yeah. They did cut up pretty bad. Um, yeah, but I don't know what because normally when you hear about Simeon, you normally hear about him very closely related to Levi, right? Like,
Mhm. Yeah, let me see. What happened? Uh, Did you hit the button again?
sorry,
Oh.
no, my phone rang. I was trying to turn off the phone. Somebody's calling me. Hold on. Yeah, normally when you hear about Simeon, he's normally connected to Levi. So I don't really know what this connection is.
It says foreshadowing the future role of Simeon's tribe. Uh, the tribe of Simeon becomes weak and scattered.
Okay.
The imprisonment of Simeon might symbolically foreshadow the diminished status of his tribe.
Okay.
Uh, it gives Genesis 49, 5 through 7, and Joshua 19, 1 through 9 as reference.
That's right. 19. Really?
Mhm.
Oh, well, I'm thinking Judges 19. Okay, I was like, okay.
Oh, I was when you said I went to Judges 19 too in my mind,
Yeah. Okay.
but Joshua 19, uh, and it says that Joseph is reversing the power structure. The captor Simeon becomes the captive.
This captor Simeon. Did Simeon do something when he kept it? Well, was Simeon involved in the when they sold Joseph?
It says Simeon and Levi were known for their violent tendencies
Yeah.
because they massacred Shechem, massacring at
Massacre
Shechem.
Shechem, yeah.
Um, and so it was, I guess that was him reversing the power structure. It says,
Okay. But why not Levi?
I don't know.
I mean, because they call remember when they went down there and massacred them people over Dinah, that was Simeon and Levi that went down there to do
Mhm.
that. And Jacob said, "Oh my God, y'all are so violent. Like y'all are just too wild. Y'all gonna get everybody killed, right?" So I can understand that. I can understand, but why not Levi? Like why specifically Simeon? And yeah, why and it was it Judah who decided to put Joseph in slavery?
It
Who did it?
was Judah. So Judah, first Reuben, right?
Yeah.
And then Judah, also, um, So like Reuben is the firstborn and Simeon is the secondborn. You would think that he would have taken the firstborn,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's- Simeon is the second. Isn't Simeon the secondborn?
I think
Or
it's
no?
Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah. I think is the order. I
Yeah,
think that's it.
yeah. So you would have think he would have taken Reuben. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know
I don't
though.
know. So yeah, so it's interesting. So that's something that I'm gonna be trying to look into.
Yeah,
Um, but I think that was one of the main questions that I had. The money in the sacks. Like I think it shows favoritism too. He had already taken the food or stored up the food and made the people who live in Egypt, right, like get to the point of starvation and have to buy the grain back. But he gives it to his family for
for free.
free,
Yeah,
right? And they're foreigners. And so he like piles them up and then sends their money back. I think it shows favoritism for the chosen, while everybody else is starving to the point to where they're selling their land, they're selling their well, they haven't sold their land yet, but they're buying this grain back at a higher price.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a fucked up. That's a fucked up situation. What's crazy is America about to. No, I ain't gonna get into it. I ain't gonna get to it. I'm not gonna talk politics today. I'm not gonna do it.
But it does
But
right like it you see the parallels though? The
yeah,
similarity?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do.
And then why did he
Unfortunately, I
call
do.
them spies?
Well, I think that was just kind of the way of kind of running the keeping the gag going because basically, okay, if there's a famine in the whole land, right? If there's a famine
Mm.
and the famine has stretched all the way out to Canaan, or Canaan, but the famine is stretched all the way out to Canaan. The gag is if somebody come from a foreign land, they might be just trying to see. And he says it. He said, "Oh, y'all trying to see the nakedness of the land." Like in other words, y'all trying to see what I got over here, right? Y'all gonna come spy it out, and y'all gonna come back and rob me later, right? That was kind of the reason for like
Oh,
problematic
okay.
Syria. Y'all coming to check out what's going on out here. I know y'all ain't got no food over there. Y'all coming to check out what we got over here. Y'all gonna come try to rob us later. And they go, no, 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 we're not doing that. We're honest men, right? We're
That
just
was a
coming to
lie.
buy it. Yeah, we're coming to buy it. Yeah,
The fact like when I was reading that and they were saying they were honest men, I was like, it really doesn't matter, right? They'll call themselves honest and innocent, although they're not. And so going back to Job, when Job is saying to this God, like, that I'm not guilty, that I'm innocent, like that doesn't mean that Job was innocent because we also know that their brothers were not honest
they
because they
definitely
lied
running.
to their dad, right?
Definitely told
About
them both is like,
yeah.
yeah.
And so just saying that they're honest men doesn't mean that they are. And then he didn't care that Simeon was left behind. This is like,
Didn't even add nothing. Well, he did say he just lost Simeon, right? That Simeon is no more,
yeah, he just
right?
gave up, right?
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah,
like, you know what
yeah,
I'm saying? It wasn't
yeah.
no send a search party or go down there and get y'all better go get my son. He was just like, okay, Simeon's gone, but nope, you ain't taking Benjamin. I already lost Joseph. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
yeah,
that was crazy.
yeah. Yeah, he did just kind of give up on himself. Well, what the fuck did Simeon do?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why Simeon? Because it seems like we're demonizing the hell out of Simeon right
They
now.
gotta let Simeon kids no break.
Because Joseph did
Oh,
not
poor
care.
Simeon, bro. Damn, dog.
But I think also doesn't it speak to remember when we read the story about Dinah, about what
Yeah,
happened with Dinah? We was
yeah,
trying to figure out if the theology of the story was whether what the brothers did was righteous justice or Jacob being more concerned with the politics, right?
mm-hmm,
Being more
mm-hmm,
concerned with their reputation in Canaan and the future plan,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it seems like the way that Simeon is being demonized, that the priority wasn't what happened to Dinah,
yeah,
and that what the brothers did to defend their sister is still being seen as a terrible thing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, because like that's I don't know any other way to look at that. It,
It Pro Simeon. That's all I can get out of that. So don't nobody care about him. He just he just locked up.
Y yeah.
And they just accounted him as dead. That's crazy. He's still alive.
He was like, "I done lost another son. You're not taking
Yeah, he's
Benjamin."
still alive.
Like, "What?"
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Alright, you wanna do 43?
We
You think
got
we got
time?
time?
What
We
time?
got
We
about
got about
15
20 minutes.
minutes.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
short though.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is that anything else in 42 before we go to 43? I think we covered
Yeah, I think we
everything.
covered.
Okay. Alright, so 43. Now the famine was severe in the land, and when they had eaten up the grain they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, "Go again, buy us a little more food." But Judah said to him, "The man solemnly warned us, saying, 'You shall not see my face until your brother is with you. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy food. But if you would not send him, we will not go down, for the man said to us, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you.'" Israel said, "Why did you treat me so badly as to tell the man that you had another brother?" They replied, "The man questioned us carefully about ourselves and our kindred, saying, 'Is your father still alive?'" See, that's a lie. Have you another brother?" What we told him was an answer to these questions. Could we in any way know that he would say, "Bring your brother down"? Then Judah said to his father Israel, "Send the boy with me, and let us be on our way, so that we may live and not die, you and we, and also our little ones. I myself will be a surety for him. You can hold me accountable for him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. If we had not delayed, we would now have returned twice." Then the father Israel said to him, "If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the choice fruits of the land in your bags and carry them down as a present to the man. A little balm and a little honey, gum, resin, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take double the money with you. Carry back with you the money that was returned in the top of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take your brother also and be on your way again to the man. May God Almighty grant you mercy before the man, so that he may send back your other brother Benjamin. As for me, if I am bereaved of my children, I am bereaved." So the men took the present, and they took double the money with them, as well as Benjamin. Then they went on their way down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of the house, "Bring the men into the house and slaughter an animal and make ready, for the men are to dine with me at noon." The man did as Joseph said and brought the men to Joseph's house. Now the men were afraid, because they were brought to Joseph's house, and they said, "It is because of the money replaced in our sacks the first time that we have been brought in, so that he may have an opportunity to fall upon us, to make slaves of us, and take our donkeys." So they went up to the steward of Joseph's house and spoke with him at the entrance to the house. They said, "Oh, my lord, we came down the first time to buy food, and when we came to the lodging place, we opened our sacks, and there was each one's money in the top of his sack, and money in full weight. So we have brought it back with us. Moreover, we have brought down with us additional money to buy food. We do not know who put our money in our sacks," he replied. "Rest assured, do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father must have put treasure in your sacks. For you, I received your money." Then he brought Simeon out to them. When the steward had brought the men into Joseph's house and given them water, and they had washed their feet, and when he had given their donkeys fodder, they made the present ready for Joseph's coming at noon, for they had heard that they would dine there. When Joseph came home, they brought him the present that they had carried into the house and bowed to the ground before him. He inquired about their welfare and said, "Is your father well? The old man of whom you spoke, is he still alive?" They said, "Your servant, our father, is well. He is still alive." And they bowed their heads and did obeisance. Then he looked up and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your youngest brother of whom you spoke to me? God be gracious to you, my son." With that, Joseph hurried out, because he was overcome with affection for his brother, and he was about to weep. So he went into a private room and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out, and controlling himself, he said, "Serve the meal." They served him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. When they were seated before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to the youth, the men looked at one another in amazement. Portions were taken to them from Joseph's table, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. So they drank and were merry with him. See what I'm talking about? Like this, the Egyptians, like, for it is an abomination for the Hebrews to eat with the Egyptians. Like that doesn't make any sense to me, because
Right.
like why even invite them to a meal if it's an abomination?
right. And how who would he know to who would they know to be Hebrew?
Right. Well, it says that he had an interpreter the first time he was talking to them.
You know what I'm saying? But what I'm like, what nation would be Hebrew?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it doesn't make sense. And then he's like, God be gracious to you. Like he's already talking to them as if, they share the same God.
Right.
Like, wouldn't he be talking from the place of like the Egyptian,
Right. Right.
you know?
But yeah. Yep. Or from yeah, at least from that paradigm, especially if you speaking through an interpreter, stuff like that. Um, yeah, yeah. Again, you're just trying to you're putting together this thing, right? And here comes Joseph to kind of save the day, and there's the fulfilling of the prophecy or the dream that he had earlier about them all coming to bow down before him, blah
Mhm.
blah blah. So you kind of watching this thing happen. Um, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there was something else I wanted to say, but it slipped my mind because I was thinking about who a Hebrew person would be. Just completely slipped my mind.
Like it made me think about the whole Moses and Egypt thing too, right?
Mm.
Because if Moses lived in Egypt, because like this is clearly saying that Joseph talked to them through an interpreter because he didn't want them to know who he was, right? That
Right,
he didn't want them to know that he understood their language.
right,
So if Joseph is posing as a native Egyptian governor,
yeah,
right, pretending he doesn't understand Hebrew, then when Moses is in Egypt, like he went into the Pharaoh's house as a baby.
as a baby, yeah,
He wouldn't have known Hebrew either if it was such an abomination for the Egyptians to even eat with the Hebrews,
yeah.
right?
But now, wait, now let's add this to it though. Depending on how long, well, I don't. It gets blurry about the years, but depending on how long the Hebrews had been around in Goshen, perhaps that you could get some long words or like it's kind of like I know a little Spanish just because I live in LA, right? And I ain't been here for 13 years.
Yeah, but
Right.
he was in the Pharaoh's house, so he would have been of high status, and so to engage with the Hebrews, if it was such an abomination, wouldn't that be like,
Yeah, it would have been a bit more difficult, but maybe he would have learned. I don't know. I mean, it would have been a bit. It wouldn't have been as necessary for him to know it. That's for sure. But you got to
yeah?
imagine, like an Egyptian that lived out closer to the Hebrews, because Hebrews lived in Goshen at the time, right? So an Egyptian that lived out that far, they probably would know a little Hebrew or
You said they
whatever.
would or they wouldn't?
Probably know a little bit, a little bit. Especially if they weren't rich.
Enough to write the Torah in
No,
Hebrew?
no, no, no. I'm not saying that. No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. Uh, well, okay. Yeah, of course, Moses didn't write the Torah, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but I'm saying like you know how Christians believe that Moses wrote
yeah.
the Torah, and so like logically, if he lived in Egypt, right, and he was taken into the Pharaoh's house, it wouldn't make sense for him to have written anything in Hebrew because according to the text,
Well,
Hebrews and Egyptians, like it was an abomination for them
well,
to
Moses
even.
did have his mama to help raise him, though, right? She was
Okay.
like his nurse as a kid.
Hmm.
So she might have snuck him some Hebrew in her.
Possibly.
That's possible. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Oddly
don't know.
enough, here's the weirdest thing about that. Keep in mind when the Hebrew people moved, when we get over into that part, the Hebrew people move into Egypt at about 70 people, right? Okay. By the time they leave, they estimate, and we don't know how many people it was, but there's a lot of people when they leave. But they've been in Egypt for however long. When did they develop a writing system?
I don't know because that's that's that was my point. Like if Moses really existed,
Yeah,
wouldn't he have written in Egyptian hieroglyphs, like whatever Egyptian language
yeah,
they used? It wouldn't
yeah,
have been Hebrew, especially like
yeah,
if he was raised in the Pharaoh's house. Like even though his Hebrew mother raised him, I'm pretty sure she was not responsible for his education.
more than
If
likely.
you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
because they would have had high, a um sent him to like the Egyptian school system like that was for the upper class, right? Like for
Yeah.
royalty. She was just sent in for nursing him, right?
I wonder if they could eat together. I wonder if he could eat with his
I
mom.
I don't know. This says that the Egyptians eating with the pharaohs was an abomination.
Mm.
That's why I say like going back and reading it and the picture or the context that they try to set up, it to me
Yeah.
it just creates contradictions in the story, right? Um it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Or if Moses had eaten in a room by himself all the time.
Well, did she tell them that he was Pharaoh? Did she tell her dad that Moses was a Hebrew, or did she
I
keep it a
mean,
secret?
she immediately knew he was Hebrew.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it says that he looked like a Hebrew, didn't it?
Yeah. She immediately knew, oh, this is one of the Hebrew babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So
and I
did he have
mean,
to eat by himself?
his whole life, that'd be crazy. Just ain't never ate in a room with nobody. That's crazy.
So, and some of the research that I found, it was saying that a lot of the anachronisms in the Joseph story shows that it was most likely written during the Persian period,
Okay.
and that's why, like, it kind of has these uh, eth- uh, race based or ethnicity based concepts in it because it was
Mm-hmm.
most likely written during the 6th to 3rd century BC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like the storing the grain, and like that was a later, like the centralized grain sale system.
Yep.
That is not how Egypt ran their agricultural practices in the Middle Bronze Age, and that it was most likely a development of the later economic systems during the Persian or the Hellenistic periods. And so it kind of leans more towards authorship during that time.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the Canaanites, like them being spies. I mean, the Israelites being spies in Canaan when Joseph's like, "You're here to spy." Like it kind of just sets up that narrative too.
Yes. And keep in mind, that's why I meant to bring it up when you talked about why did he say they were spies? Because, like, remember when even when Israel was starting to go through the conquest or when they was going through places like the spies were the people who went and sought the land out. They would go look in the land first, and then you would decide, okay, let's go take it. Right.
Mhm.
So that or they would come back and say, oh, I see that the land is good for this. Right. And then they go, okay, let's go take it. So this is kind of anachronistic back in this story when Joseph was saying, oh, that's what you came to do to me. You came to come
Yeah,
see what's good in the land and you're gonna come back and take it. Right.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's yeah,
and that's what the Israelites.
that's
That's
what
the
they do.
story that they tell, right?
Yeah.
For the yeah, that's what I
That's what
think.
Joshua and Caleb were. Right? They were spies
Yeah,
when they went over to the promised land. They went and looked at it and said, "Oh man, they got big grapes, and it's great. And we let's go take it." Right. So that's what Joshua was saying. I mean, not Joshua. Joseph was saying about his brothers at the time.
and then like Canaan was at this point in time under occupation of Egypt, right?
Right.
So like does it make sense for them to be like shouldn't they have
No, it doesn't
like
make sense. No, it doesn't. It's okay. It's okay.
yeah,
Let's
like it's
just accept
so
it.
confusing.
Yeah, it's not supposed to make sense.
Okay, and so one more that I did find was that Egypt didn't have prisons at this time. Like there's no records of any, like at that time they would just execute or exile people. Like they didn't have prisons
Sometimes you
during
just gotta
this
throw a
time.
prison in there, bro. Just make it up as you go along. It's cool.
It's yeah. It's I don't know, like, and I wonder if any of this like matters
In what regard?
in the regard of like questioning your faith. Like, do the
Oh hell no.
anachronisms matter?
Oh hell no. Hell no. Hell no. These type of things. Well, it depends on how your faith is built. I should say. I guess those kinds of things could matter, but for the most part, those are so trivial to most people that because they're not reading. Most of the people I know aren't reading the scripture to be like a. Although they consider it inerrant, they're not reading for inerrancy. They just consider it inerrant, right?
Yeah. But like if they believe that this is history, like we're always arguing the Bible is not a book of history, it is a historical book.
Yeah,
And they argue that it's true, that it's factual. And
right.
so like you would think that pointing out that silver at that time was not used as coins, right, as a money system. Therefore, they could not. Joseph could not have. They could not have gone down there with silver and Joseph, or God divinely put the silver back into their sacks, and then they went down there with double the money to show how honest. Like you would think that that fact that that is historically out of place would matter to their argument that this is a historical account.
Mm, mm, not at all. Not at all. One, that's not something that people even recognize, and two, they wouldn't
But
care.
I'm saying, like, when you bring it to them, like when you say, "Hey, this is out of place." They were not using silver at that time, right? That like, silver was a weighted system, right? It wasn't used as coin, so this
Coins
couldn't have happened. When you bring it to them, it's like
doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. Like they still will argue that the story is true,
Right,
and then tell you that you need to go to hell because you won't allow yourself to believe.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Because you won't reject facts.
right. You're going to heaven. It's okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's how that works. That's how it's gonna work every time. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was fun. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have
And we
anything
got
else?
through two chapters. We did good today.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I thank y'all so much for chilling with us on Sunday with Versus and Vibes with Thinker and Bash. Thank you, Justin Deconstruction, for coming through. It was a nice surprise. I appreciate you.
yes,
I'll
ma'am.
check see y'all on these TikTok streets tonight at 11 p.m. Make sure y'all keep a lookout for Bash's tour schedule. Catch him at a city near you. How many
Yeah.
impressions are you at now?
About 14 million or so. This
14 million impressions. Keep it up. We are so proud of you. I
Thank you so much.
appreciate you.
I
And
got
I'll
big meetings
see
coming up this week. Keep good thoughts out for me. I appreciate y'all, man.
most definitely, most definitely. I'll see y'all tonight at 11 p.m. Central. Hope y'all have a great rest of the Sunday. Bye. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe if you haven't already done that. Oh, I also want to shout out TT. TT, thank you so much for supporting the live, for making sure everybody likes and subscribes. I appreciate you.